made it. We had a situation where I was working 2 jobs. We were behind on our bills. I've got a funny story about this, but we were behind on our bills. We were really struggling. And here I am, like trying to, get jobs, get my first few clients under my belt. And so that's what I was doing. I was out there trying to learn, trying to put it all together. Then you have to act like you've been there before, because nobody wants to hire someone who's just a beginner. And I remember as I was doing all this, I finally had gotten a couple clients, and I was behind on my bills, behind on my cars, like trying to do everything I could to stay afloat, getting up at 3 a.m., working at the rec center. Then I ended up working as not a paralegal, but an assistant for a law firm. So I do that job. Then I go to the paralegal job. Then I would go and I would try to run my business. Meanwhile, I've got, at the time, 5 kids. We have 7 kids now. And I just started going for it. I just kind of started putting myself out there. Anyways, the culmination of it all, I finally started to see some light at the end of the tunnel. And I was in a position where I had just come home from doing like 4 shoots. It was my biggest day ever. I was so happy that I had that many shoots. And then I thought, okay, now I got to come home and edit these. And this is I'm going to be up all night, but I was happy. I come home, I put my memory card into the computer. I have literally no money in my bank, very little. And I put the memory card in, and it says that my files are corrupted, as in I couldn't view anything that I had shot that day. And my heart just sank. I could not believe like what was happening. And I'm in my home office, which was a bedroom that I had converted to an office. I'm like, do I even tell my wife this? Like, she's stressed out. Anyway, so I look into my credit card that I had, and I have, I think, like a $300 left to my name. I spend $79 on this memory card recovery software, and I was able, luckily, to recover every file with the exception of 5. And I thought, oh my goodness, yes, I'm going to be able to do this. And then my computer either had a virus or something happened. And as I was editing, everything shut down. My computer didn't work. And I thought, oh no, this is turning into the worst. So I get on the phone with Best Buy. It's close to their closing time. I said, what is your cheapest computer? At the time, it was like $200 for some cheap computer on sale. I rush down there, get there at 9:55 before they close at 10, walk out with this computer. Now I got to go home, deal with how slow it is, set it all up, edit these photos and all this. So I get the computer, I pull up to my house, and my neighbor is blocking my car from a tow truck guy. A guy came to repossess my other car when I came and arrived home. And I thought, so here I am, my wife's crying at the door, my neighbor's stopping the tow truck drive from taking my car away, and I'm holding, the last bit of money in the form of a computer in my hand next to me. And I'm like, wow, this cannot. And I just started laughing. I could not believe it. I go to my neighbor, I say, let the tow truck guy take the car. My wife's crying. I'm like, let's just go to bed. I've got to get these, I set up the computer, I get the photos out. It's about 5:30 in the morning. I play basketball with a group of guys. And it was 5:30 when I finally had finished all my edits. And I'm like, well, it's the next day. It's time to go play ball. And I went and played basketball. And I remember after that experience, I thought, boy, like, here I am trying to start this business on my own, trying to learn everything, trying to do everything and try to figure it out on my own. I don't remember there being really any classes that I could participate in other than watching online videos, although I could be wrong about that. But I remember that was kind of the point where I'm like, okay, it can only go up from here, and then it did. And, we got our car back eventually, and we just kind of kept going and kept going and kept going. And then my business took off. It became more and more successful. And I thought, boy, if I could ever teach anyone what not to do or how to do this in the beginning, like, I would totally do it. Now you fast forward, and here we are, 9 years later, and I started coaching people. I started helping people. I had advertisements out, and people would pay me, and I would train them, as best as I knew how to start a business, the whole back end. I mean, it was the whole shebang. And I did everything. And then as I kind of started, going on from that, I said, okay, well, here I am. I own this business. It runs itself. I've got, great office staff who work from home. I've got a great team of people as it's now grown. my wife and I purchased a Cold Stone Creamery, which is just a few buildings to the east of where my office is, where I'm at right now. I've got 7 kids, they work. And so here I am, I wake up every day and I'm like, okay, the Cold Stone runs itself. My business runs itself. Like, we do other things. We don't like to go on vacation. We have these other, other interests that we have. And I thought, boy, maybe I should try to do something else. Like, should I start another business? Should I do something? And I remember going to work and realizing that I wasn't needed there. And then I would just sit in a parking lot for 2 hours. So my wife thought I was at work and I was just sitting in a parking lot. Like, what can I do more? Like, what's the next step for me? And I started, spending a lot more time with my kids. Not that I didn't before, but I would take over my wife's responsibilities and drop them off at school, pick them up from school, be home when they were home. And my wife very quickly was like, well, now I'm not doing anything. And, she didn't want to live that life. And so, so she kicked me out of that real fast. And so here I was back to square, like, what am I going to do? And so I started to have ideas for, like, what if I did a real estate photography conference? And I knew that there was, the PFRE conference, which is a great conference. I watched the last one. I thought it was fabulous. But I wanted to take kind of a different approach. I wanted to do something that was like training based, classroom based. So as opposed to having speakers get up and speak to you, as inspiring as that is, I wanted people to walk away and say, not only am I inspired, I know what to do because I was just taught how to do it. And so I got in touch with Josh with Show and Tour. I started talking to him. He put me in touch with Brendan. I had always been in touch with Eli, just through email about various things.
This
and
is Brendan Sue.
Yeah, Brendan, Aerial Canvas.
Host and managing partner of Aerial Canvas. And let's see, Josh Mays, who is the founder of Show and Tour and Sherpa Media. And I think I heard one more name in there.
Eli Jones.
Eli Jones, the founder of Norman and Young, and also the creator of Real Estate Photographer Pro, as well as other courses.
Exactly. For real estate. Yeah. And we'll go through them in just a minute. But yes, that was, I got in touch with them. I was in California for on vacation. I met with Brendan, who, as you mentioned, owns Aerial Canvas. And I just thought, when I met Brendan, I was like, this guy has such high energy. He would be such a great host for the conference. But I started talking to everybody about, what their goals were, what their influence was, like what the next steps were for them. And anyways, I kind of formulated this plan to say, okay, let's have this conference-based training. And that's kind of the birth of, how the conference started to be. And, that's the long story of, my life and how it transitioned to where I'm at now and, the birth of this conference.